the promised Messiah. The one who would free Israel from her enemies. You imagine, 3 days ago they had buried all their hopes, they had buried 3 long years of their lives, having invested them in what was seen as one more disappointing fraud. No wonder they were in that state of mind. Because they had logically concluded this truth: a dead Christ is of no use. That's how it is. The exciting experiences they had gone through, the portents they had witnessed, the wonderful teachings they had heard were of no use. If Jesus Christ was in that tomb, it had all been a disappointing and undesirable farce. A dead Christ is of no use. This is also why the Apostle Paul says in Corinthians that if Christ is not resurrected, our faith is totally and absolutely vain, useless. Christianity collapses or stands depending on this fact. Is Christ dead or alive? What the truth is will determine the meaning of our faith in our lives. The response of him, until that moment, unknown to the path, surely began to place him a little. Luke 24, 25-27. How stupid you are, he told them, and how slow of heart to believe everything you have said. The prophets. Did not Christ have to suffer these things before entering into his glory? Then, beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he explained to them what referred to him in all the scriptures. This stranger spoke to him with great familiarity and boldness, and with all authority. But even so they did not recognize him. He spoke to the hearts of those who disbelieved in him, showing them in all scripture the law and the prophets everything that it spoke of him, that he was and is the supreme Christ, the living Christ. A little later, when they arrived at the town they were going to and sat at the table with this stranger, they were finally able to understand who they had been talking to all this time, and they realized that there was no reason to continue being sad and hiding. But now, since Jesus Christ was alive, things would be different. They said, "Didn't our hearts burn while he talked with us on the road and explained the scriptures to us?" Luke 24:32. That burning flame of real and eternal hope had been rekindled because they had seen Jesus of Nazareth, full of life, and all things made sense now. Because the living Christ changes all things. 465. When they finally recognized him, Jesus disappeared from their sight, and at that same moment they returned to Jerusalem regardless of the possible dangers on the way, because they had something very important to communicate to the other disciples. When they got to where the others were, they told them and said, "What the women who went to the tomb this morning told us is true. It's true. The Lord is risen." And their lives would never be the same because a living Christ changes all things. The reality of the resurrection of Christ is one of the main pillars of Christianity. This reality gives meaning to everything we believe and live. If Christ was not truly resurrected, the entire passion and death of Jesus Christ is nothing more than the death of a poor man who sacrificed himself in vain for nothing. But the Church of Christ has held fast to this historical reality.